Alright, everyone, we start off the day talking about a funny topic again, which is the Clintons sliding into irrelevance. This link in the description, it's archived, of course. The Clintons were holding a rally at one of these stadiums. It's one of those places that seats many thousands of people, and they had to draw on the curtains several times because there were only a few hundred people there. And it's like Clinton's rallies during her actual campaign, unlike the people with maybe more charisma, who are more relevant, like Sanders, for what it's worth. I oppose his policies, but they're hip to some of the young left. And then Trump, the populistic side, or even someone like a Rubio, representing that sort of centrism, but it's kind of more chic and updated, at least on the surface. It's very superficial, but it's there, again, for what it's worth. The Clintons have had problems now for several years drawing in a crowd. Now, it was mainly Hillary's problem. And Chelsea had that famous broom closet interview where she was in a room that couldn't have been much bigger than my office here. It's nice as far as a home office goes, but it's not exactly a stadium. She struggled to pack 10 people in there and was literally I don't know, sitting on the fucking desk at the time when she's talking to reporters. And this was considered very charismatic and daring of her. It's it's her turn this time. She's thinking of running for the Senate, which I think would be a freak show. Sort of like a Gillibrand. She'll be locked perpetually in the Senate because she'll be relying on partisan politics to be in politics at all. Won't be able to export it to a national stage. There will never be a President Chelsea Clinton. Don't worry, there won't be another President Clinton, at least for the next 100 years, considering what's happened. Now they've got a problem where Bill also has fallen out of favor, and I think the Democratic insiders have torpedoed him. They have stabbed the Clintons in the back. I think this is why I don't think Hillary Clinton will end up running, and I'll tell you what. All signs point to the fact that they exhausted all the possible favors that they could during the election. Now the last favors that they have are essentially, aces up the sleeve to keep them out of prison because they have done illegal things. Let's not even bother saying allegedly. Okay, the Clintons have been involved with organized crime. We know this to be the case, but you're never going to be able to prosecute them because they have, people who owe them favors. They burned off probably a good 90% of all their favors during the election, which failed, and so now they're like, well, shit. We can't do anything else. All we can do is try to embezzle money as much as we can by going on this whirlwind tour and selling books. And at first it was working. In peak Trump outrage season, she's selling millions of dollars worth of books and they're getting all sorts of donations. Now it's dwindled. It's dried up. And here's the problem. The Clintons have offered no actual solution to the liberals as to how to stop Trump. They haven't formed a rogue platform. They can say Me Too and It's Her Turn and Pink Hats and hashtag resist we're the Rebel Alliance sort of bullshit, even though she looks like Palpatine. They can say that all they want, but they haven't actually formulated any way to stop Trump's agenda. Except for Ma Mueller probe, Ma Russia. Well, it's not working anymore. It's not pulling in the kind of crowds it has because people are growing desensitized, number one. And number two, it's about the messenger. If Gillibrand or Cory Booker or someone talks about these things, they get a more warm reception. But Bubba Bill has been Me Too'd. And it's not because of, Monica Lewinsky. It didn't help that he was trying to chastise her and said, no, I don't feel guilty. It was just fine that I screwed my employee, basically, my subjugated individual. And she's talked about it. It's also Juanita Broderick and all these other people who Bill Clinton allegedly sexually assaulted or raped over time. I mean, isn't it 3 or 4 different women? Yeah, that's hardly survivable for someone without a lot of charisma. The problem is Bill is an old man now. He's not as charismatic. He's not able to use his waffling around sort of lawyer speak to dance around the question. It's more directed now, and it's coming from the far left. So it's a big problem. It's not like before. Anytime someone said, well, Bill Clinton's like a rapist or something, it's like, oh, well, you're a far-right kook, that's a conspiracy theory. Now, though, it's coming from the Me Too people that have been that are just targeting males in general within Hollywood and politics, sometimes for good, Weinstein or Bill Clinton, sometimes for ill, like you've got George Takei. There's no actual evidence he did anything wrong. The person who made their claim against him apologized. And so, that leaves you without any evidence. There were some people that wanted to crucify him, and I'm like, Takei is a crazy liberal, but he's probably not a rapist crazy liberal. So, don't worry, there's plenty to complain about with Takei without worrying about his sexual proclivities. I don't really care that he prefers dongs over thongs, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, that one was kind of funny. I haven't heard that one before. Maybe I just invented it. No, but the Clintons are falling out of favor. They're old people. They're not like back in the 90s. They're like, you know, in their 40s and 50s. They're more, you know, they're youthful, supposedly. By political standards, Bill Clinton was a very young president. Wasn't he just like 41 when he took office? He was one of the youngest. I think the only one that was younger, if I remember correctly, was Theodore Roosevelt. I think he was 38 when he first took office. He was, I think, the youngest president. And then Bubba Bill, I think, was number 2. And then Obama was 3rd. I think he was about, wasn't he, 43, 44, or something like that. You know, young individuals. It helps with the image. JFK was quite young. If you look at a laundry list of the youngish presidents who have been elected, especially where they're kind of manly or swarthy, like JFK certainly was when he was first elected, sort of a ladies' man. Theodore Roosevelt, he spent every day boxing until he got his eye knocked sideways. Then he figured he'd probably quit. You know, go, oh yeah, you know what I'm going to do to celebrate my 45th birthday? I'm going to go sail through the Amazon and, like, you know, eat spiders and shit. When you have that sort of person, with that charisma, it's more easy for them to maintain a political presence. I mean, again, think of Theodore Roosevelt. He drops out, allows, I think it was Taft to run in his stead. Then he forms his own political party because Taft is fucking up. He ends up destroying his presidency, basically. Ends up winning states on a rogue third-party bull moose platform at the time, which was hilarious. Bill Clinton can no longer do that. He's no longer 40-something Bill Clinton. Now he's geriatric Bill Clinton. He doesn't look as good. He doesn't speak as well. He also doesn't have as many political favors that people owe him. The same is true of Hillary Clinton. The crazed Hillary Clinton that throws things at people and is Bill's attack dog, basically, is now trying to be the main Clinton, trying to be the feminist icon. The problem is she's now an old lady. Her views are now dated by feministic standards. Like the 80s and 90s feminism that she would fit in with is now considered passé by the post-third waivers, who are like, yeah, we need to go after video games and, you know, fuck, you know, foreign affairs as far as women's rights go. They're totally different. She speaks for a consensus of reality that is badly outdated, as all consensus realities eventually are. You gotta be hip to the times if you want to maintain relevance too. You don't have to compromise your ethics, but you have to reconsider what you believe in accordance with new evidence to some degree. Yeah, and it can go to the right. It's not all like, oh, progress. It always drags everyone further and further to the left. No. There are movements to the right. You see them all over the world right now. Look at Brazil. Look at here. The Overton window has shifted in the other direction, towards the right, and also the libertarianism to a bit, leaving behind some of the Clintons of the world. For all of their bluster about, well, we've got the moral majority, we're on the right side of history, Silicon Valley is going to stop these evil Nazis and stuff. No. You're being left behind steadily. Progress is moving in the other direction, insofar as progress can exist at all, and the Clintons thus are struggling to pull in a few hundred people. They were talking about, some people spent like $700 for a fucking ticket to see him speaking on the day of. They slashed it to single digits. It's like, hey, walk in off the street, pay $5, you can watch the Clintons ramble incoherently for the next hour. Yay! And if you pay $10, you can actually shake Hillary Clinton's hand. And for $15, you can get a selfie with Bill. And for $5 extra, if you're female, he won't grope you up. Be a really fun time, I'm sure. That's about all. Peace out.